It's Uncle's podcast.
We're making memories.
Yeah, we're making memories.
What kinds of memories?
The best memories.
And then I can go play again?
Yep.
Hooray!
Brave.
I got the show.
All right. Danny Casler.
Brother, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Yes.
Well, I say meet you, but for this podcast, I met you years back.
Right.
at
And we've been talking.
Orders.
Yeah, we've been talking back and forth so much about different things. And I think this is an honor to come. You've invited us to your home and we get to kind of share a little bit of the backdrop of how beautiful it is in Hawaii and where you live. And find out more about you.
Right on.
Right.
Well, it's an honor to be a part of your show as well, man. You're a very positive individual online, and I get to see that side of you, but now I get to learn more about you too in person.
I appreciate that. Okay, so I've got a little bit of an intro for Danny. I typically try not to do too much research. I like to ask the question so you get a genuine response from me. But I do want to introduce a little bit of everybody that's on the show. So I took this off of some of the things that you have posted. This one, majority of it's from your LinkedIn account. So Danny Casler, he is a co-founder of the Pacific Ink and Art Expo, the creative genius behind My Kailua.
I didn't say that, by the way.
No, I did. I did.
Write that about myself.
And I didn't get paid for it either. That was my,
I would say the not so smart guy.
Makai Supply?
So Makai Supply is a company that basically is the parent company of some of the LLCs that I have.
Okay, like a holding company almost.
Essentially.
Okay. Partner in Seba Creek Farms.
Yeah.
What is that?
Cannabis.
Shut up.
Yeah.
Okay, we have another rabbit hole to go down to.
Yeah.
And husband and father.
Yep.
In your About section of your LinkedIn account, he described yourself as well-versed in all areas of the entertainment industry, from the stage as a lead singer and songwriter to the back end of all production aspects, strategy implementation and execution, marketing, public relations, and media management. I have my hands in many things which do well due to the great team players. I thrive in a team environments and love building businesses from scratch. That's me in a bundle. Still accurate?
Yeah, still pretty accurate.
I didn't realize how interesting you were. The podcast started off as my way to talk to people that knew more about something than me, and it gave an opportunity for a win-win. You can share your knowledge and I can learn it at the same time while sharing it with so many others, right?
Yeah.
We understand the benefit of leveraging social media and sharing it with the world.
Yeah.
Most of you who don't know him will probably recognize My Kailua more than anything else, I think.
Yeah.
That is probably what you're most famous for. Would you say that's accurate?
I mean, fame's a weird word, but it's probably
Well known for.
Yeah. My Kailua has just kind of become this thing, out of nowhere, unexpectedly.
How did it start, and at what point did you actually shift and with intention, like, hey, this is going to get somewhere. I'm going to put a lot of energy into it and grow it.
Yeah. So what's really interesting about the whole Kailua thing is I grew up there, right? Elementary school, intermediate, Kalaheo graduate, 99, Mustangs. We're the dumber class. The kids there now are much smarter.
Really?
No offense to the teachers, but yeah, I feel like the education has definitely gone up. So I was backtracking a little bit. When I was in high school, when I graduated, I had a punk rock band. And that punk rock band really took off.
Yeah.
And we moved to California. We ended up getting signed. And for 17 years, I was traveling the world singing in a rock and roll band.
Wow.
And I was spending 9 months out of the year doing that. And then any chance I got, I flew home because I missed home.
Yeah.
And so, to be surfing, to be around my family and my friends, that was very valuable to me. And I was chasing this dream. So I had this tour in Japan. We're coming from Japan to Hawaii, and I met this beautiful woman who ended up becoming my wife. And I'd convinced her to move to Huntington Beach, and she was like, this place sucks. Like Hawaii is it.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I have to fulfill this part of my journey. We were still doing the back and forth, and we are spending more like 6 months out of the year. I was slowing down the musical side of my life, and I was like, man, I wish that there was a way that we could just connect with the community, So I immediately went onto Facebook, and I tried to save the profile R Kailua. But
okay.
sure enough,
Somebody had it.
Realtors.
Right? Okay.
Realtors stole it. And then I went to go, I love Kailua, and Chamber of Commerce had that. So I was like, what would be a clever thing that, people could always, say off the tip of their tongue? And me, because I'm a musician, I like to write rhymes.
Yeah.
Mean a lot to me. So I was like, my Kailua. And I was like, my Kailua. And then my wife's like, well, she was my fiance at the time, but she's like, why are you going to make it about you? And I go, no, it's not about me at all. Think about this. Every person that grew up in Kailua has their version of how they would say, this is my Kailua.
Yeah.
The my Kailua that I grew up in was one where we went to Carnival, and, there was Pier 59 or whatever that pizza spot was, or Andy's Drive-In, or you go even further back, and they're talking about Fast Eddie's, and they're talking about all these different things. So everybody has something that they can say, this is my version of Kailua. And that's how that became. And it really was just a way to share recipes and turtle pictures, and for me to connect while I was living in California and feel like I was still part of home.
Were you big into social media prior to that?
No, I was doing like the Friendster thing and MySpace and then Facebook, and I'm struggling to get into TikTok. I'm not really a social media guy in that regard. Like, I love sharing things, but I wasn't like, oh, this is going to become something. I wasn't even thinking of it as a business at all. People were offering me money. No, I didn't feel right. And so for 7 years, like, it was all like, I just want to connect people and figure this out. It's kind of a science experiment for me. I'm going to mess up. I still do mess up. And I learn from it, and the community helps correct me. And I think that it's kind of like a village,
It is. I think it's so profound how you made it so that everybody could take a piece of ownership of the group, my Kailua, right?
Yeah.
So we're going to contribute my version or my vision or my memories to the community.
Yeah.
It's really become a staple. If I'm not mistaken, haven't there been other groups that try to mimic, maybe, or I don't know, like my other area, whatever?
Yeah. So my Waimanalo, my Kapolei, and I always tell those people too, like, create your own page, be integrative. Is that a word? Remember, I went Kalaheo. Be integral.
Yeah.
In your
I almost didn't want to say something for outing myself.
because then it's like
we're both wrong.
We're both wrong. But no, be a part of your community, and it takes all of the different cogs in the wheel, right? You don't have to go be city council. You don't have to be Chamber of Commerce or any of those things. You could be whatever you feel your strength is. I have always known my God-given strength is to connect people, to be authentic, and to share people's story, and always look out for people if something's not right. So I'm a really big advocate on if it's wrong, it's wrong. So that gets me in trouble with some different organizations here from time to time, but I'm like, hey, here you are, that's your guy, that's your organization, fix it.
A lot of people don't like when being called out, basically. Yeah.
Me neither.
Right.
Nobody does.
And I think that's an automatic defense, is just to be defensive, right? And just be like, and get angry or uncomfortable about something. But so as of today, and this is Happy Aloha Friday right now, what is your following count on Facebook and what is it on social media? I mean, on Instagram.
Yeah, so if you combine them, it's probably 165,000 combined. I know there's a crossover,
Yeah.
you know, of some people that follow
On both, yeah.
So I have no way to really quantify that real number, but the metrics are just insane, dude. Yeah, like if I pull open the metrics, it'll show something like 20 million impressions over the last 90 days, which blows my mind.
Right.
Because those kind of numbers, I don't know how that happens, but I think it's the more that the page has grown, the more people share, and the more that Meta and the algorithm and the social media gods, you know, favor the content we put out.
Yeah.
And I would say for the most part, we're pretty wholesome. I don't know why, but on Instagram, like a lot of our content does get flagged, and that's because they have certain algorithmic parameters that AI looks at.
It picks up different things that might be false.
Yeah, or if it's like, you know, crime that I'm sharing, that'll get flagged.
Takes it's
their
violent
AI.
or whatever.
And
Yeah.
and they're like, we're not going to let you monetize. And I'm like, I don't really give a shit.
Yeah.
That's not, I'm here to share information.
Yeah.
You know, I make my money in other ways. So yeah, the focus and the key is to grow the community with honesty. And I'm not looking for tourists. I'm not looking for people from around the world. I don't need 250,000 followers.
Yeah.
I want quality people that care about Kailua and the surrounding communities so that we can all take care of each other in the long run.
Same. I really like that you said that, because it doesn't matter how many followers you have. If they're in areas that you're not trying to reach anyway, then it's a moot point. If they're not within your community or within your reach, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
They don't matter.
And, you know, I just had this conversation yesterday. One of my clients is Star Farms. They're a tree service company, and we're growing them organically. And he had said, you know, what do you think about me porting over some of my followers? A lot of them are in Australia and China and different areas. And I go, why would you want them? Why? Guys, I love you very much, and you're very cute up in that tree. Could you be careful while you're up there, okay? That's my daughter. She's up in the tree. And
Oh, I didn't even see her. Okay, we're going to have to...
yeah, that's why she has a big scar on her head, because
She's the daring one.
Yeah.
Yeah?
His name's Brave, and he is very shy. He is far from brave.
But he will grow into it.
He
Have
will.
you ever known anybody that really grows into their name?
Yeah.
Whether they like it or not?
He's going to be a big wave surfer, dude. I already know it. Something gnarly.
Yeah.
He just got a motorcycle, and he's already like, you don't even need to tell me. I'll just get on it. I'm like, you're going to die, dude. But yeah, so back to that conversation is that just like friends, I don't want friends that don't care about me, right? I don't want followers that don't care about what I do. And so for a business, that's what I was telling him. Having more people doesn't create more success or more betterment. So let's focus on growing people that actually care about you, what you do, the service you provide, because those are the people that'll refer you, and those are the people that'll help you grow your business. And because the algorithm only, if you got 1,000 followers, let's say, it only lets you see this many people. You want to see the rest? That's what I care about. And so that for me is the most important thing.
That's awesome. Your maybe number 2 baby, would that be the Tattoo Expo?
So strangely enough, the Tattoo Expo was my number 1.
Really?
Yeah. So, you know, we're now 9 years in. We have our next show August 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. That's a plug. At Blaisdell, the Hawaii Tattoo Expo, or the Pacific Ink and Art Expo.
Okay.
They're both affectionately called that. I started that in 2011, and it became a real thing in 12. And that's the same time I started My Kailua. But My Kailua was just a connection thing.
Yeah.
There was never, ever a business element to it.
Right.
For 7 years. It was all I just loved doing it. And people would be like, why do you spend so much time? You don't make any money. I can't tell you how many people, especially community leaders in Kailua, that would sit me down. They want to meet the guy behind it, right? And go, so how do you make money? And I go, I don't.
That's the
They're
first thing they're concerned about, right?
First thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's so interesting. So how do you make money?
By adding value first.
I don't. Because it was never about that for me. It was how to add value to my community. If it's money I want to make, I can figure out how to make money. Money's not hard to make.
Mhm.
But the blessing is COVID happens and it shuts down my tattoo convention for almost 4 years. And that was my bread and butter.
So 2020 was the last year?
2019.
2019.
We were going into 2020, boom, COVID happens.
Yeah.
Everything shuts down. And, I'm calling all my friends in government and just like, how's this looking? And they're like, Danny, at least 2 years. And I'm freaking out. I just had a daughter and then a son.
So was the Tattoo Expo maybe more of an income source for you at that time?
It was my primary source of income. Yeah. It was my business. And wow, it was,
That's scary.
I'm a man of faith.
Yeah.
So I'm always like, I will always be sustained. I am never worried about that. And then it was crazy. And at the same time that happened, I had a guy come up and was like, hey man, we should start doing some stuff for the community. He's more money and business oriented and driven, but he's like, we should start doing some stuff for the local businesses in the community during COVID. So we started doing drive-in movies.
I remember that. I went to them. That was awesome.
Drive-through Christmas.
Yeah.
Man, that was so powerful for me. There was a moment I watched a man in his car, and you'll learn this about me. Everything I do is about experience and memories.
Yeah.
Money, I know that money will always come in one way or another. I'm never worried about that. But this thing, it sticks with me so much, is there was a man in his car and he had his 4 kids and his wife, and they were bawling, and this guy was dying of cancer. This was his last Christmas.
In the Christmas drive-through?
At the Christmas drive-in. And I was standing there, man, and I was weeping because I knew it. And we had this Santa Claus that was inside the church. And when you were a parent and you bought the ticket to go through the experience, you would type in your kids' names and Santa would come up
already have a
like
pre, yeah.
time, right?
Yeah.
And he would be like, let's say, what's your daughter's name?
Sky.
So he would say, hey, Sky, it's Santa Claus. And I heard that you've been eating all your vegetables and you've been getting good grades.
Yeah.
I also know that you really want a bicycle. Let me see what we can do for you. And dude, these kids, it's heavy. Their wish was for their dad to live. And I knew, like, just watching this, like, kids can ask for anything. They could ask for a new bike or a PlayStation or whatever. And all their kids, Santa Claus got choked up, and I'm just watching this frail man, and I'm thinking of myself as a father, and I'm thinking of my own father, and, and just, that it was heavy, and just watching that. But that's why I do things, right, I want people to always be impacted in the best way possible and create those kind of memories. And so God bless me. I'll tell you, God bless me, man. I had no direction, no idea where I was going. And these little things like the drive-in movies, the drive-in Christmas, things that were so dear to my heart became profit centers. And the community supported them. And then local business started coming to me and they're like, we want to work with you.
Yeah.
Like, you reach so many people in your community. And that's how I met Aloha Junk, man. That was like a God thing. I'm driving over Saddleback, going into Kaneohe from Kalaheo High School area, K-Bay Drive. And I was telling my wife, man, wouldn't that be crazy? Like, I feel like a junk removal business would do really well here. And this truck drives by and it says Aloha Junk Man on him. I was like, well, that's weird.
It's almost like your phone listening to you and during that next
right?
Right?
Big
Ad.
brother.
Yeah.
Just a different big brother, and
His big father.
Yeah, big father, man. And then at 2 a.m, I got a message from Matt. And if you've ever met him, he's like Matthew McConaughey. He's like, hi, man, it's Matt from Aloha Junk Man. I've been following your page and I want to talk about, I don't know what I'm doing. I want to figure out how to, work with you. And I just knew that was like, that's a sign from God. And so I was like, yes, guys, I love you. We're talking, okay? We'll talk after. I love you. Okay, have fun and be safe. And, so beautiful. Like kids, there's no boundaries, no sense of time, no urgency. Money ain't a thing. But so like I went and met with them the next morning at Times Coffee. And we talked about their goals and their dreams. And they did 80K in revenue on their own. And 1 year of working together. And I'm not saying this is from us. It's just working with good people, putting out good intentions, doing good things. 585.
Wow.
Then $1 million. And then. So I was able to see that happen with business after business.
Yep.
And know that it wasn't just a fluke. It was like, oh. And so like how I know about this guy right here.
Rio.
Which I'm a fan of, really talented, was through my partner Koa. Similar thing. He's like, I got a pool business. Cool. How much you make? 48,000. I'm like, bro, you got 3 kids and a wife. Can't survive off of that.
Yeah.
Let's try this thing. And we did like 380 first year, and so like that's where I became like really passionate. I can't no longer do this tattoo expo until those windows
powers that
open
be.
up. Yeah. And so, and I don't want to do it until it's safe too.
Right.
For everyone.
Because the health aspect, right, of the tattooing itself.
And just thousands of people being in close proximity.
Yeah.
And so the blessing is my Kailua became a business.
Yeah.
Where I get to utilize my strengths and the things that I love to help individuals grow their business.
I think it's obvious that when you do something, the intention behind it is pure. So, like when you said the drive-ins became monetary or they're monetized, I don't think anybody would question the intent behind that because what it did for the community was huge.
Yeah.
At the time, my ex and my kids still live there, but they're in Pohakupu. That's right across the street.
Yeah.
We literally drove like a minute and we were already in the back. It reminded me of going to Camp Swap Meet, Camp Drive-In as a kid,
Yeah. With the drive-in movies.
Yeah. It was very nostalgic.
Yeah. We had people bringing popcorn, drinks, and knock on the windows. And
So, I mean, I think, you're doing things with such great intention behind it that everybody else is going to support you. And that's where your needs get met too, but without even being all about the money. Right.
Yeah.
I like that. And I'm just finding some of this stuff out now, about the other businesses that you're involved in.
Yeah.
Is there any other projects or things that you're going on then that you want to talk about?
I'm just like, once again, I have my hands in everything, including the film industry. So I work in the film industry as well. From an acting standpoint, I did that at a young age, and now I work from time to time more on the crew aspect, and it's beautiful because I get to see like this aspect, like less in front of the camera.
Yeah.
When I was younger, I liked that a lot, being in front. But I gained such a whole different respect for how the machine works when I'm behind it.
Yeah.
And watching
what goes into it.
Yeah, and just how hard these guys work, waking up early morning. I was spoiled. Like I'd get a script and be like, sweet, and I'm getting paid a ton of money to show up at 12, do my lines, be in air conditioned, have hair and makeup and all that, and meals catered, and then and then you're done. But these guys they were there at 4 a.m.
setting up,
and they're not leaving till 2. Wow. And you don't see that when you're on that other side. So like that's why production for events or Tattoo Expo, now I really enjoy being the machine that helps lift people up and let them be that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've done everything from the acting side of things, and then I got out of that world a long time ago because I was doing the music thing, but then I would get roped in every now and then with some speaking roles, Hawaii Five-0 or whatever. And I recently, the last thing that I did, so I worked on Lilo and Stitch. I was a stand-in body double for Pleakley and Jumba, which was the character in, forgive me, brother, because he's a new famous actor. He's like in all of, his name is Billy Rasmussen. He's going to be one of the biggest actors of our time.
Uh-huh.
He's just blowing up. And then, yeah, you'll know he's like in the new Kevin Hart movies and all these movies now. A-list guy, came out of nowhere, just Well, no, he didn't. He worked his ass off, and then it just feels like he came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
But like most of those guys, he's a great guy too, humble. And then, what's his name? Between Two Ferns, Zach Galifianakis.
Wow.
And so what was funny is like I never did any of that style of stuff before, because back in the day I was like, oh, that's beneath me. You know, I'm an actor, all that ego bullshit. And then I get this random call, and it was like, hey, you look like Zach from Magnum PI.
That's right, yeah.
And I was like, who's that? And they're like, dude, you got to meet him. He's a super awesome dude. So I Google him, and I'm looking up Zach. They're like, yeah, he plays the character of Rick. So I'm looking, and I'm like, whoa, that dude looks like my brother. This is so weird. And then we FaceTime, and he calls me up one day, and he's like, I just lost my stand-in. He's like, I know, it's stand-in work, you know? And I'm like looking at my wife like, I don't want to be on set for 12 hours or 16 hours. Like, I got too much other shit going on. But she's like, I think this is a God thing. I think you need to go do this. It's not about the money. It's about something that's working and happening. So I go and do it, and I end up falling in love with Zach. Great guy, great family, and then the rest of the cast. And then that's where my love for the film production, the back end side, I was like, oh my God, I love this. I love the camera guys. I love the lighting guys. I love the techs. I love all of this. Yeah. And you really see how passionate these people are about what they do. And then I was like, okay, that was fun. I'm out. I'm over that. And then I get this call, you know, they really liked you over on Magnum. They're wondering if you want to come work on Lilo and Stitch. And I'm like, So I did that, and it was fun, dude. It was awesome. And I don't know if there's much more of that in my life, but because but yeah.
You got even higher.
Oh yeah, they're all the way at the top. If they break their arms, that's going to be part of the podcast.
Yeah. Hi.
You're insane. If your mom saw that, I'd be in so much trouble.
Don't worry, it's on camera.
Yeah. So be careful. This is how it goes down. This is how they break arms. But this is how they learn. It's how I learned.
I mean, when we came, I really liked how they have run of the land.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's scary. It's hard to balance. You want to keep our kids from the dark element out there because it's so much more present, and we know it, right? And how much of it, when we were kids, was we didn't know about it, and how much of it got that much worse now that we're older.
Yeah.
Because I caught the bus. Like, gosh, maybe nobody wanted to kidnap me. I don't know.
I think about that all the time too. I'm like, did we just have a shortage of kidnappers when we were going?
Yeah.
Because
or an abundance of kids. I don't know.
Doing sketchy shit. You know, as kids, like I think about it all the time. Like my wife's always like, "Don't do that," and I'm sitting in the back like, "Do it and get hurt. I want to see you get hurt."
It's part of the learning process.
That's right.
Yeah.
I want you to have a healthy fear of life, and then I also want you to experience the good and the bad under supervised care.
Yeah.
Like, I let my son think he's going to drown. I'm like, get in the water, bro. And he's like, I'm going to die. And I'm like, you might, you know, but not on my watch, you know, and I want them to also, it's beautiful when you watch your kids overcome their fears. I feel like, I don't know if the world's a scarier place just because we see more of it on social media or if it was always scary.
That's
and
the
we
question.
just dodge bullets, man.
Yeah.
You know?
Because we were naive at that point, right? So life seemed better.
Yeah. But it's also kind of like the drunk driver that gets drunk, gets into a crazy accident, everyone else dies, and he survives because he's soft and loose. That's kind of how we were going through our life, soft and loose and like...
rolling with it.
Just rolling with life.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, I guess what I was trying to just say is that like when you go into life or into things with more caution, I feel like you're more susceptible to things happening. You know?
Yeah.
Because you're hesitating, right?
You're not in a place to figure it out. You're in a place to like cringe or curl up and deflect.
Yeah.
I think recently I've seen a few podcasts that we want to give our kids the best, right? My daughter's at Laser Dan this year, and my son's at St. Anthony's.
Wow. Amazing.
And they're great schools, right? I went to private school. My mom put me through private school when I was young, all the way up until middle school. And then after that, I moved to the Big Island and went to Honokaa. From St. Louis to Honokaa. I mean, talk about culture shock.
Yeah.
It is. And there I learned a lot more about myself and about people and about friends and just culture. It was, I don't think I could have learned it anywhere else. If I didn't go through that in life, I think I'm pretty fortunate, but it's, you can't learn that in a private school. Like,
you're right. It has to be learned on the ground in the job.
Yeah. Unsheltered kind of, you know, it was.
How old were you in Honokaa?
I went there for my freshman year. So I was like 14, 15.
Did you ever meet Mike Kai? So Mike Kai, the pastor from Inspire, grew up in Honokaa.
I didn't.
Oh, okay.
I don't think so. Yeah.
He was a scrappy kid.
It's what years?
I mean, I feel we're
only a couple years apart. Yeah. Okay.
So
he was. I was the city kid.
Yeah.
So I came up there and I was a city slicker and I didn't, you know, but it was obvious that I was different.
Yeah.
So it took me a little while to kind of settle in and get used to the pace, right? Because I was the one that stuck out at that point coming in. So, but beautiful. And so I was just talking to our viewers. The owner of My Kailua doesn't live in Kailua.
Yeah, that's correct.
And
grew up there, but I got priced out like most people. I was just telling you up on the hill, which is fun to relay, but
tell us about that. Yeah.
It was heartbreaking. For 2 years, we put in offer after offer. I mean, to be honest, I was just like grateful that we even had the opportunity to try and buy a house. I never in my life
thought you'd be competitive in Kailua.
Correct. Yeah. I never ever thought that was possible. I'll take that back. When I was younger, I had a friend living off of Po'opo'o in Kalahau. And so they had a property that was $400K, big corner lot. And I was like, this is possible if I work hard. And then that area became so insane, like 5, 10, 15, $25 million homes.
Wow.
You know, and I'm just like, who can compete with that? And then Coconut Grove, when we were shopping, the cheapest house in Coconut Grove was $1.1 million, and it wasn't even turnkey. And I'm like, how is Coconut Grove $1 million? Like,
it's hard to wrap your head around that when you are used to the little subdivisions within Kailua and knowing that at one point in time that was 500,000, right?
Or less.
Yeah.
You know, Coconut Grove, if Lanikai Ka'oha was 400K,
right,
then Coconut Grove was 150.
Yeah.
You know, or 200.
Yeah.
And like even back in Enchanted Lakes, Keolu Hillside, that was like $20,000 when it was developed by the Powell family, right? So cheap development, nobody wanted to live there because it was so far.
Yeah.
But even there, like my dad bought his place for $840 and now it's $2 million. And when we were trying to shop, we were looking at Coconut Grove and I was like, I don't really want to live in Coconut Grove.
Yeah.
I like the outskirts. I like the Enchanted Lakes.
Yeah.
I don't need to be in the mix.
Right in the center of it all.
I don't need that, you know, did that. So yeah, when I was tripping out, like, cause we would put in an offer for like a $1.1 million house, freaking out, how are we going to pay this mortgage?
And still
like somebody would come in and put $250,000 over us. And like I was telling you, we'd be the only family living in Hawaii at these listings, and realtors were sitting there like, yeah, so this house is a 3-bedroom house and look, it's got a beautiful backyard. Another guy comes in and he's like, yeah, so right here, you know, this is a big kitchen. And I'm asking my he's not a broker, but he should be. He's great. Leon. Yeah. And so I'm like, Leon, who are these people? Yeah, they would be like, oh, these are all mainland people. And they're
out-of-state buyers.
Out-of-state buyers, all cash, or they're escalating way beyond what I can compete at.
Yeah.
And so heartbreak after heartbreak after heartbreak. And then this is a really cool story. And I feel like this is a God thing. So this house shows up on Enchanted Lake and we're renting on Enchanted Lake. And I just have my daughter. And actually, we just had Brave too. So I apologize. This was My daughter was 2, Brave was just born, and this listing comes up, and it's a Hawaiian family, and their dad died, and the daughters had to sell the home.
Oh.
One of the daughters was a chronic, and it was a situation, right? So they're like, 1 day showing only, offers immediate. They're going to pick somebody on Friday. We end up, and it was $1,050,000.
Why do I feel like I heard you tell me this story before? Carry on.
4-bedroom house.
Yeah.
Right next to the bridge. Easy boat ride to Buzz's.
Yeah.
And out to Lanikai, Kaohao area right there on that canal. And I'm just like, there's no way. Like, these homes are like 1.5, 1.6. They're selling it for $1,050,000. And they had like a weed grow in one room. They had like, all kinds of things going on. I didn't care anything about the house. It was all about the land.
Yeah.
And if we could be the right caretakers for that. My daughter gets on the swing and she's like, Daddy, I love it. And there's ducks. And I'm like, this is the dream. This is exactly what we were hoping. But this is a crazy story. So the realtor she was a mainland realtor.
Okay.
And we escalated and we got it at 1.2. And when we were starting the process of opening escrow and doing that whole thing, I spoke with the daughter. I don't want to say her name. I want to keep her family private. But I spoke with the daughter and I was like, do you really want to sell this house? She's like, I don't want to, but I have to. And I was like, I promise you that we will honor this property. We will take good care of it if you do have to sell it. But if you don't want to sell it,
what will it take?
I want you to have it.
Yeah.
Like, I want you to find a way to figure this out. And I went against Leon. I went against the other realtor because
they don't want to close on it.
Well, Leon's solid.
Oh yeah, he's a local boy.
He's a local boy. This other realtor was like, I'll force this.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no way. I'm not going to be that guy.
Yeah.
I grew up here. That's not how we treat people.
Yeah.
And I went against even Leon. I said, I'm going to go bring her Christmas ham. And so it was funny because I was helping Josiah with Kina Eha, and he was doing this ham drive, and he's like, hey, take some for yourself.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm going to take some for other people. And so I put together this basket, and I went over to her house, and I brought it to her.
Oh.
And I was just like, I want you to keep your house. This is in your family. I want you to keep this property. Deep down in my heart, I really want to live here because, it's
an opportunity. Yeah, it's a house. Yeah.
It's an opportunity and all of that, but I would rather you have it. And we waited it out. I said, if it takes 6 months, if it takes a year, whatever, you let us know. It didn't happen. They ended up finding a way to maintain the house. And I was like, praise God, that's awesome.
Awesome.
And then another property came and we won that bid. We beat out 14 other offers, and my client was the second place on that one. She calls me, I found my dream home. Oh, crying when she found out that we had the winning bid. That fell through.
She found out it was you, or just found out she lost?
She found out it was us, and she was happy for us, but heartbroken.
Yeah.
Because that was her dream, And we lost that house over a $200 missed payment on a Citibank card I didn't even know I had dropped my credit below the 740 I needed. Wow. That was God, bro. Because we ended up where we ended up. And it was all supposed to happen the way. I mean, it's so much. It's way
a lot of
deeper
it.
than
we were kind of talking about that, like the circles and how things overlap. You have no idea what the ripple effect is going to do.
Yep.
Okay, so let's fast forward and tell us quickly about this. Like, this is an oasis.
Yeah.
Nobody, we're going to keep it private for you and the community. We talked about that, but what can you tell us about this beautiful place?
I can tell you that, for all intents and purposes, it was more than we could ever imagine being able to afford. It was way out of our scope. It wasn't something we were even thinking about, even thought was possible. We prayed super
because of the proximity to Kailua, or?
It's a little of everything. Hey, Brave. Expensive gear in there.
That's okay. Rio's got it on camera.
He's like, don't worry, you guys can. Yeah.
Some B-roll.
So, with this space, we are, the caretakers of it. As I told you off camera, we're very grateful to be here. Our goal is to create more food. and not just for ourselves. Like, we want this to be an open space. The person who would have got and offered way more money to acquire this place would have tore this down and would have built a mansion, and they would have blocked people out forever. And so with us, like, we've opened it up to nonprofits, talking to CAM schools in their immersion program to bring kids here. Kina Eha's had their kids here, and we have families here all the time. And
Did the sellers know about that intention that you had, and that it would be in better hands with you?
sellers had no idea of that intention. And that's a really special thing too, because it turns out that the owners and the sellers who turned this place into, it was a dump site, and they turned it into a beautiful place. But those sellers, one of my best friends growing up, he had came over to my house 2 weeks before this property closed with us.
Yeah.
And was like, yeah, I'm going to be in Hawaii for the next week, saying goodbye to my Hanai auntie's property. We grew up there when we were kids, when we were 3 and 5 years old, all the way up. And
Come to find out,
it was, he calls me when he found out that we got the property, and was bawling. And he's like, now our kids get to grow up together. And I meet so many families, like how you were like, oh, I've been here before.
yeah,
So many people. I was just in Hanakoa Brewing the other day, and the guy's like, hey, I'm the one who built your the system from the Hawaii that feeds the pond.
really?
I'm like, what? So I meet people like that all the time, and it's special. And that's the whole thing, is to be really good caretakers of this place and share this space.
We're all just stewards,
We are,
while
man.
we're here.
Yeah.
And in whatever's in our life, if we don't own it, we just steward it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just being good people, having good intention is always my goal, and giving back into this community as well. And we've done some of that.
Yeah.
And, that I'm a grower, not a shower. Like, I'm like,
Yeah.
you may have a perception of me in the beginning. That's okay. I get it.
Yeah.
But you'll see who I am over longevity.
Yeah. It is what you do, not what you say.
Correct.
So is there anything, okay, we talked about work. We talked about the property and where you're living. Do you want to introduce your kids?
Hey, kiddos, you want to come be on the, okay,
Come say hi.
It's Uncle's podcast.
You want to introduce yourselves? You can talk to the camera, say your names.
For
It's Uncle's podcast.
For what?
We're making memories.
Yeah, we're making memories.
What kinds of memories?
The best memories.
I don't know what memories.
Why don't you just introduce yourself? Look at that camera and say who you are.
And then I can go play again?
Yep.
Right now?
Yeah, cool.
I'm curious.
Now, and what's your name,
What's
buddy?
your name, buddy?
Yoda.
Oh, Baby Yoda.
Great!
Ray.
Brave.
Okay, you guys can go play.
Must be amazing for them to grow up here.
Oh man, it's such a blessing, because this is how I grew up, playing in rivers and surfing. So I'll take them out to Kahana Bay, or take them to castles in Kailua, and let them do the things that we did. Because I see a lot of kids now, they're like so consumed on their devices, and
Yeah.
these kids are just nature kids. We teach them how to forage as well.
Really?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Go get prawns, fish.
Right, yeah. Now you can, because you have this.
Now you can.
I mean, some kids, I grew up like trying to catch prawns and crayfish, and
Yeah,
I mean, that's not a thing anymore. I mean, not as much as it used to be, So
for sure. But they know how to harvest ho'io and papaya, bananas. They learn seasons. They learn different things. They learn Hawaiian language. So
where do they go to school?
I don't want to say that publicly.
Oh yeah.
But
Sorry, my bad.
yeah, just because the privacy of the kids. But
Yeah.
they go to a school that is very Hawaiian culture forward.
Good.
And so they'll come home and be like, "Hey, Dad, I just learned, what a kahavai is."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Cool, what is that?" And they're like, "Stream."
Oh,
Like, sweet. And what lives in the stream? Opu. And I'm like, sweet, And they've got some really amazing teachers, and cultural practitioners that come in once a week and teach them how to grow kalo and teach them how to just be good kids and love the land and be good to other people and learn that whole process. And they're good with death because we have animals, right? So when animals die and humans die, they understand that that's just part of the process, you know?
They're more familiar with the actual flow of nature.
100%.
Yeah.
You know, where some people are sheltered and when a loss happens, it's like so emotionally traumatic.
They weren't groomed to deal with it. Yeah.
These guys are totally groomed. Whether it's a human, they can look at, you know, a body at a memorial service and just be like, all right, she passed on, and that's just part of the process, you know, and they grieve in their own special, unique way. And that's special to me that they can have that.
Okay, so the last thing I'd like to ask, and I hope this is probably, you know, something we can do more of in the future, because you're always doing so many great things. So definitely would love to circle back and talk story with you more in the future.
Yeah, and if you guys ever need to utilize the space to do some of your podcasts, like I said, we are blessed with the space, so we're blessed to share it.
This is a beautiful thing, and I'm sure we'll show some of this scenery more specifically, you know, at some point. But before we end, what are 3 things that you're grateful for?
3 things that I'm grateful for. I am grateful for my faith because it allows me to see the world in a completely different lens. Like I'm still, you know, edgy. You'll still hear me say bullshit. And, you know, I'll still use some language that maybe isn't appropriate, but it's really grounded me in the ability to understand the value of life. And that's my family, my friends, these moments. I value very much the time and the space. And I don't put value on things like money. I don't put value on material things. I often wear clothing without logos because I grew up poor and I couldn't afford to have things like Nike. So I would get New Balances, which back then was not cool. The Velcros are not cool. They're cool now.
Yeah.
Like everybody loves those now. I got the Fladitas with the 4 stripes that you had to unstitch and draw the Adidas logo on the back. You know, like we really didn't have a lot of money.
It work.
And it was embarrassing and it became an insecure thing. So that's also why, like, I'm really big. Like, if I'm going to wear a brand, I'm going to wear Everyday Better. Or I'm going to wear...
We are both big supporters of Eric and Everyday Better. Yeah.
But I'm going to wear my people's brands.
Yeah.
You know, I'm going to
support my brothers and sisters.
Yeah. Don't give a shit about, like, a Mercedes-Benz. I don't care about none of that stuff. I care about this stuff.
Yeah.
So the other thing that I'm grateful for, I am so very grateful to live in this space at the time that I get to do it, for how long ever we get to do it, and to have a property that allows us to feed other people. And I have said this over and over, and it was one of our prayers before we even got accepted. I was like, God, we all did this. God, if you bless us with this place, I promise we will utilize it to feed people mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and any other way possible. Yeah. So I'm grateful that I have that opportunity to do that, and I can't wait to see that vision come to life.
Same here.
And third, I'm just grateful to be alive. Yeah. There's a lot more you don't know about me, but I've been in some really gnarly situations in my life. And now looking back on it and the things that I've gone through, some seedy underworld stuff, and then all the way up to where I am now, like being able to, you know, whether you agree with them or not, but I can call some friends that are at the top of government or in really upper echelon, like Secret Service or NSA, and just to be able to be connected to those people and have this amazing network and have that access at my hands, which allows me to connect to people and help people. Like you can call me for anything, and in probably under 20 minutes, I can get you a solution.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm grateful for that. And it's given me this amazing life that I have. So, and grateful to be here with you. But
I was just going to say that the connecting is kind of what helped expedite this. You were definitely on my mind to reach out and talk to. I had put that post out in search of an attorney. I was asking for a friend, and you responded. You gave me a number. You gave me some backgrounds that this guy's a hammer, you know.
Yeah.
And I said, what a godsend. I've been thinking about calling you. And then you respond like directly. And okay, I'm just going to ask her out, you know, like, and you said, yeah. And so here we are. And Man, I appreciate it so much.
Yeah.
It was always something where I thought I'd run into you more often in Kailua and stuff, but we're all just so busy that you're one of those people that I was like, I can't wait to sit down and talk story with you one day over some coffee or something.
Yeah.
And now, even better, I get to do this with you.
Yeah. We get to memorialize it, share some breath and some space.
Yeah.
You know? It's a beautiful thing. One thing that I always thought was interesting, so I do a lot of business with people abroad as well. And like when you work with Chinese people, I feel like Chinese people, when you work with the good ones, are just like working with Hawaiian people. Like you really have to breathe with them.
Yeah.
It's not like, hey, let's get right to business.
No,
like you might fly to China a couple times.
Really?
And all you're going to do is eat. Because
Oh,
they're just feeling you.
yeah.
Is this someone I can, break bread with this?
Yeah.
Or break bread with, breathe with? Is this someone I want to be with?
Do we align on more levels than just business?
Correct.
Right.
And that's how I am too. Like we were talking about this earlier. Like when you look at someone's social media, you can kind of get a glimpse of what they value.
Mm-hmm.
Like don't look at my Kailua for what I value. That is the opinion and voice of many, 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 many people sharing.
There's a lot of influence there. Yeah.
But if you look at my page, my personal page, you'll see what I value.
Yeah.
It's family, it's land, it's culture, it's God. Those are the things that I value. So, that's what I like about this. It forces us to breathe and get to know each other and then pick up and keep doing that and see who we all really are when we're not online,
Yeah. You think you're going to be doing a podcast someday soon?
I would love to do a podcast. Yeah. I just got to find the time.
It's always the case. Well, Danny Casler, everybody, and appreciate you sharing space and breath and just allowing us to be here and to be in their presence. This is a beautiful thing. And you can't script any of this stuff, guys. This is like perfect.
And why would you want it?
Right.
Unfolding organically the way it should be.
And we're going to get Rio come over here so we can get I can get him to edit himself, zoom right in here.
Add some muscles.
And I would just like to say that Rio is single.
Yeah. Yeah.
He has an incredible accent from the UK. He's a good looking dude. He's tall, dark and handsome, a little light skinned, but very nice guy, super talented.
Yeah. He's the accent. I mean, every time you can hear him before you see him, you fall in love,
Smooth like butter.
Yeah. I do want to drop a little plug. This is going to be the second year in a row. I'm helping a co-sponsor, Worth Fighting For. It's an event that we're having out at the Wailua Community Center.
Right on.
But another friend of mine, Eric, is throwing it. We did it last year, and they're actually having USA. It's sanctioned by USA Boxing. So there's going to be boxing, some kickboxing. There's food and drinks.
Nice.
And so I'll be posting, I posted a reel earlier today about it, but I want to get the word out there because the proceeds are going to go help primarily, I don't remember the recipient's name, but we're going to be buying a power chair for him because he's paralyzed from the waist down, as well as some of the other veteran groups that we sponsor as well. But I just wanted to throw that out there and put that in there, little plug.
What date is that?
That is on July 27th.
Awesome. I hope I can make that. My wife's family is all North Shore. They're Molokai, Maui,
Awesome.
North Shore people, and Wailua is where her dad grew up.
Okay, perfect.
So that's the hood.
Yeah. Well, we'd love to have you out there.
Awesome.
It would be. And this is what I'm trying to contribute to that, a little bit more exposure. We want it to be bigger and better every year, and then we can help more people when that happens.
Awesome. Let me know how I can help.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, right on.